morning, Flosstube. It's Pam, stitching between the lines. Today is Thursday morning, September 1st, 2022. Can you believe it? September. And it feels like September. Look, I'm wearing long sleeves. I have windows open. It is all the way up to 64 degrees. Aren't you jealous? Yeah, totally. It's going to warm up more for the holiday weekend. We are super happy to have the super muggy, yucky weather gone. The kind that thankfully did bring us rain. We were so desperate, but thunderstorms and we lose electricity. September 1st, I love it. I love the fall. I'm not in a hurry for school to start because, as you know, my girls are teachers, so I'm not wishing them back to work, but later I'll tell you a funny story about that. So August went so fast. I don't even know what happened, except that I got a fair amount of stitching done. So whatever was going on, I must have been stitching. We got a new roof that went on in August, and it's been a nightmare. Not really, but kinda. Ask Cooper. Cooper will tell you flat out, not fun. He needs to spend most of his time in the basement as soon as they show up and start walking over on the ceiling, because the house is a one-story house with the full basement. And it's timber frame, so there's a big peaked ceiling in the living room and all that kind of stuff. So there's no like buffer of an attic. And we have an insane number of skylights. I don't care for skylights. I understand they're good and everything, but it all still comes down to the fact that it's a hole in your roof. And we have 8 of them. 6 regular skylights and 2 round ones, like in the bathroom, but the opening is still a regular skylight open. I don't know what it looks like from the other side, but it's a round light. I don't know. It's been a tremendous amount of work getting those seated correctly. Another story later. So anyway, you came here for the stitching, and you can bug out later if you don't want to hear all the other things that are happening. Yeah. So August. So my focus piece in August was, it's on the bottom of the pile. Sorry. Well, let me pull this one off first. That'll at least bring it down one. There's a needle and a thread hanging on this. This was my July focus piece. Kingdom of Books, a kit I got from mybobbin.com. And I worked away on it when I first got it. I had it set up in our basement family room in our old house in a frame on a desk, and I would just sit down at it and work whenever I felt the need, but it took me forever. I'm using all the called fors, including called for instructions on 3-ply for everything. I should have done the back wood in 2-ply. Didn't think of it. I listened to Luda, who said do what the instructions say, and the end result is worth it. So I'm doing it in 3. I kept it out in the month of August because I wanted to, I'm moving this around a lot. I put all my other pieces to show you on Lori Holt's board. I don't know what to call them. Her foam boards. They're meant to lay out your quilt blocks, but they work great for clipping and showing cross stitch. But this one I didn't. I'm not sure why. Anyway, there it is. My goal in August was to do the wood grain as far over as this book, and then in the future, every time I did a book, I would do the wood grain over it. I some amount carried some of the wood grain all the way over. I think even if you maybe if you subtracted it all back and put it in over here, maybe I did my goal, and then just some overreach. I had hoped, let's try this. I had hoped to do another book in August. You can see I kind of started. There's little bits in the book, like some of this sort of trim that's done in the same colors as what's in the wood grain. So I kind of did a little bit of that. But then there were some squirrels, and I didn't pick it up again in probably the last 2 weeks of August. So I'm keeping it out. Look, literally, I quit mid whatever I was working on. I'm going to keep it out in September, and see if I can't do some more. I just don't want this to take as many years. This has been 5 years maybe of work with mostly neglect. I don't want it to take that long. When I focused on it in July, I got these 3 books done and a decent amount of this background. I didn't have any background done. So I got a fair amount of it done, and then I really had hoped to keep up. And I did a little bit, but not as I had hoped. So if it's a focused project for a month, I can get 4 books, I believe. But when you start factoring in the background and that I haven't done anything on the bottom, if I got 1 more book done, then that leaves 3 books and whatever background for a month. That would put me into moving off this way. I don't think I have it halfway done yet. This would literally be the middle, right up through here. And I don't think it's halfway done because I don't think this amount accounts for the number of books I have left. But I'm close. I'm really close to halfway. And like I said, I would really like... I'm still messing with that needle, sorry. I stuck it in here and it's stuck in sideways, so when I roll it up, I'm going to poke myself. So I just had to change it. So Kingdom of Books, and it's Brenda, the Handwork Maniac, is doing it. And then I was just hopping around some Flosstubes, and somebody else was way far along. I have no idea who it was. It's not somebody I regularly watch. But anyway, it was impressive. She's not doing any of the wood grain either. But I struggled with what fabric to use because it's such a large piece. I couldn't get a large enough piece in your standard open market of like vintage country mocha. Is that my go-to? Sort of a brown. And also the wood grain look that's by, who's that designer of fabric that puts the dots on it, and Fabric Flair. They have the wood grain. That would have looked nice, but again, I couldn't get a piece big enough, and I think the wood went what I would have considered the wrong way for a bookcase. I don't know. It just wasn't working out. So anyway, I just went with it, and I'm stitching away. So that'll stay out, and I'll try to work on it some more. And then, excuse me, while I reach, I brought a chair in, piled all the things up. Now I have to dig deep in the pile to show you what was my real August focus piece was Mermaids of the Deep. And when I showed you last, I had this girl's face and her skin was done, and I might have done the tiniest little bit of her body. And then this young lady was done with her arms, her hair, and I had done, and yeah, her arms and hair. I had done a strip of the green to get down far enough to make sure I was building this young lady's skin in the right place. But that was it. And then in hindsight, I discovered I had done a color of thread in here that's really supposed to be beads because the thread symbol is 0, an O, like an O, and the bead symbol is, you want to guess? An O, a circle. So I had to pick all that out because also I had done the tiniest little bit of green also, and they kind of intertwined. No, maybe it was intertwined in the flesh. So it was a very careful pick out. So in the month, like her hair took me an entire week, which seemed insane. And then I just got busy on the bodies, and I have done all of the stitching that is done with thread. I left the best and the worst for the next time I pull this out, which is all the Krynic, and there's a ton, and the beads, also a ton. She's holding, like, spilling out jewels out of her hand, and there's just a ton of, all this blank stuff is Krynic. So I need to pull out my Krynic and give some consideration to Petite Treasure Braid. I need to go through what I have and whatever. I bought the bead kit, you know, whatever. I don't want to call it a finishing kit. And it comes with the Krynic and the beads. And I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I do. So they're beautiful. It's just like when I did a Paula Vaughn. I was just gonna let me just pick one, see how it goes, which is what I did with this. I studied it hard, and I chose one. Like with the Paula Vaughn, with all the quilts on the porch, I chose the one with 2 quilts, which is like the most detailed part of all of her things. So what do I do with the mermaids? I pick one that has 2. I don't know. I don't take the easy route. That is true. I don't take the easy out on my cross stitch. This fabric, I don't know the dyer. I'm looking around. Oh, excuse me while I reach over here under this pile to find the name. The fabric is a 28 count Joblin called Twilight Mist, and I don't know the designer. I don't remember where I got it. I honestly can't say. It's not the called for. That I can tell you. Do you hear that? I don't know what that is. Oh. Hang on. That was, did you hear that beeping? That was the mailman leaving a box on my porch. There's windows open. Also, I'm expecting 2 phone calls this morning, so if I have to excuse myself, it's because the phone rang. Nobody seems to answer their phones anymore, and you have to leave messages, and I know, you know, and I know they don't call back. So I'll tell you about it, and that'll guarantee there won't be any callbacks. So, I don't know. Oh, let's see what else is going on over here. You know, okay, you know the rules I play by when it comes to whips. In whips in my book. In my planner, I have 11 whips, which grew by 2 since last month. Actually, and then, but I don't call it a whip if I start it and finish it within the month, because I do my accounting at the beginning of the month and the end of the month, and if I started it and finished it in the month, I don't count it. So I started and finished Perfect Pumpkin with a needle and thread. This was a gift from my daughter for Mother's Day. She took it off my, picked it off my 1, 2, 3 stitch wish list, and it's so stinking cute. Can you stand it? And she made a Starlight Stitching Company pouch. I don't know what's in here. Oh, nope, I wasn't bad. You know, the thread bed, the little thing that holds all your goodies. And she also gave me the Lady Dot Creates little polka dot for the trim. So this will be a pillow. Finish. I didn't do any FFOs this month. Not a one. In July, maybe I got the stuff all out to do one. That might have been as long ago as June. And then I discovered I needed some interfacing, which we talked about that on a video or 2 ago. And I have not gone back to it. So that's the scary thing about FFOing and me, is if I have the urge and I get the stuff out and I can't finish it, I don't go right back to it. In fact, I can see the piece over there. I don't know. I guess I would so much rather stitch than finish. No explanation. I'm not making excuses for myself. So that is the cutest as can be. Perfect Pumpkin by With Thy Needle and Thread. I'm going to take it off the little board that I put it on. Put it in a project bag. And maybe FFO it before, you know, the next century, because Thanksgiving's coming. It's fall. Almost. I leave my, you know, patriotic-y summer things out until after Labor Day, because that's a big time for us. The end of summer sort of feeling, and school starts and all that. So, okay, so back to whips. I'm working on one. I'm sorry that I keep mentioning it and can't show you, but I'm doing 100 stitches a day and it's coming along swimmingly. That was my first, honest to goodness, genuine pattern keeper project, which is going to lead into which is what leads us into this. So I bought the Nurge frame, which I love. Can't even tell you how much I love that thing, and it's like grip. When I first bought the little Kindle Fire and put a pattern on it in Pattern Keeper, it was my, name of it is, holy cow, Vibrant Vistas, which is a Heaven and Earth design pattern. This is my oldest whip. I started it, well, let's just say 2014. That's probably a good like guesstimate. And I was working along all right. I had it in Goodreader app on my iPad, and I actually got all the pages across the top and the first 2 pages down below done, and then it just got put away and never got brought out again. And it was in sort of suspended animation, I call it. This was the last thing that I had in suspended animation, and after getting the piece I can't show you, I'm sorry, and using Pattern Keeper and knowing how much I loved it, it made me want to get this back out. I also watched Brenda, the Handwork Maniac, do a little stitch with me, and she was showing her how she does her heaven and earth design, and I've watched people do them, and I understand the whole concept and all that, but it's just what spurred me on. So I got it out. I'll put a picture right here of it before I put it in the frame. So I've put it in the frame, and I've rolled it all up, and I've done all the things you do, right? And I'm trying to do parking. Parking has not worked for me in the past. I have these things that Brenda's daughter-in-law makes. I'm having trouble making them work how you want them. Partly because this is so taut. I can't do the flipping in and out of the thing that shuts it and opens it because the fabric is so taut. So anyway, it's stuck on there with magnet. It sort of pretends to hold my threads. When I would work, excuse me, was working before, it does choke me up, I know. I would, like, if I'm doing this black, I'm going to carry it on down. And there's some parts where there's a lot carried on down. So what I've been doing is I've gone back into Goodreader and in Pattern Keeper, and I have been marking off what I did so that I can see in Pattern Keeper what's done. And then it's a tremendous amount of work to match up, for example, where I've left a jagged edge with what's in Pattern Keeper. When you use Goodreader, you can have your highlighter lit up and you just touch whatever random symbol you want to touch. Pattern Keeper, you have to choose the symbol. So when you're doing something like a page like this, and you're trying to tell it all of the hashtag things, you search them, you click it, and then you can touch that one. When you want to have it highlighted, you can touch it like a long hold with your stylus or your finger, and an option comes up to highlight all of them on the page. So because I have to have it so spread open in order to even see it and do the symbols, your page might be this much. So then you have to scooch over and do the rest. And then when you get down where there's 1 and 2 stitches, for example, in the tree, you're there for a long time. So the reconciling of the Goodreader to Pattern Keeper is mostly done. I have not done this page because this is the page I'm working on, getting everything caught up, touched up, and then I'm trying to work down to the end, and then I'm going to try to do it basically by row. I'm having a little trouble when I'm using a thread and there's one over here and one over there, just not putting it in. So I am putting it in and hopefully not creating a humongous mess. These are parts that I already had done. Get these down, scooch down, and you can see I've gone even into the page below prior just so I could finish this part of the barn silo, whatever it is. So I like that Pattern Keeper tells me how far I am, how much I have done. I forgot what it was. I haven't looked at it in more than a week easily. It's a little overwhelming when you like touch the symbol that's black and it tells you have 12,000 stitches left to do. That's like yikes. So anyway, I think there's a certain amount of don't ask, I don't want to know. Here's the overall picture. So I have done all the way across, and then I have come down and I'm over into this area. So a page, another page, I don't know where the page breaks are, somewhere in there. I'm going to get into some interesting stuff soon, so that will be fun. So I've been kind of popping this on the frame the floor stand and just messing with it for a little while. It gets monotonous and tedious because I'm trying to match what's on my fabric, what I've highlighted on Goodreader, and then highlighting it on Pattern Keeper. Sorry, I just bumped the leg of the stool you're sitting on. One of the things, I really can't think of things I don't like about Pattern Keeper, but this one. When you highlight some symbol, it completely obliterates the symbol. You can't see through the highlighting. You can unhighlight it to see what the symbol is, but you can't see through it like on Goodreader. You can see through the highlighting, which, you know, like a highlighter is supposed to do. You just highlights it. It doesn't, you know, obliterate it, I guess. So, and I know that as time goes by, that won't be a problem, but it is taking me some time and patience to do this, which is fine. I have patience. I have time. So I'm really thrilled to be back into this one, even if it's on a very small scale. So that one's cool. That's cool. And then I started, sorry, a text message came through, an alert. So Lost and Floss, Barb, probably many of you know Barb and Leanne, lifetime best friends, and Leanne passed away a couple years ago. So Barb has been keeping her legacy going, and she had started a hashtag, a stitch along, on Instagram called Leanne's Legacy. So do a search of the hashtag Leanne's Legacy on Instagram, and you'll come up with where people have posted a start. So Barb's suggestion was a start on Leanne's birthday, which was August 24th. So on August 24th, I had a start, and I am almost positive I remember Leanne doing this and actually having the finish. So Where Liberty Dwells by With Thy Needle and Thread, which I loved it. The minute it came out, it's sort of that combination of cross stitch that looks like a quilt. So I started it. The house is where I'm at. Once the house is done, and I'll love every other part of it. I don't love doing a house. I don't love the whole window thing and then framing them in and filling it in. That to me is tedious. I haven't done a house in a while though, so it really didn't bother me. I'm sort of stalling on this part because I don't like it. This is my least favorite part, is doing this. But I only have 2 windows. The door is just pretty straight up cross stitch. Maybe it has a frame around it. Yeah, I think it does. And the bunting will be my favorite. And I love all these little parts of like Quaker stars. So what am I doing it on? I don't know right here. Just a piece I found, I think. From the feel of it, I think it's a piece of, well, drat. Wasn't that helpful of me? Because it's an ongoing thing I'm working on, I think I left all the stuff over. Color and Cotton. It's a piece of Color and Cotton. I was in the club for a year, so it's more than likely a piece that I got through that. And then, what else? I have my September focus piece to show you, and I'm so excited about this one because I should finish this year. Name of it is I don't know, Pumpkins. Luca S., who I love her artwork. I love the stitching. I have a hard time not buying everything I see. So, well, that one didn't. My hair needs cut. I have an appointment next week. I have to do the pumpkin, and there's no reason I shouldn't finish that pumpkin this month. Let me get it out. Let me show you where we're at. Because I've got this all done, I have the pumpkin, and I think there's more green above the pumpkin. A little bit. I have the one big leaf done, the blossoms, several blossoms. So I have just these guys over here to do, and the pumpkin. Now the pumpkins are tedious. There's a lot of brown in there, even though it's deceptive and you think it's orange. Brown, orange. It will take some concentration. This isn't going to just get whipped out. But I'm very excited to think that I will be finishing this one this month. So in my whole feeling like I'm going to finish a Luca S, I think I got an email. I don't know. I get their newsletter, whatever, and they were showing a new one that is coming out. It came out, whatever. And so then I start scrolling through all the Luca S and seeing, because, you know, I'm almost done with one. I might like to purchase another. So I was going along, and then I saw this one, and I thought, oh, I have that. Stop thinking you're going to buy something new and get out the one. Isn't that cute? So cute. Love it. I absolutely, the amount that I love that. And that all looks luscious. I really, really enjoy her patterns. It's full coverage. I don't know why I would change out the fabric. I don't really care. I'll stitch on Ada. So those are the things that are in the works. Not bad, right? What else? I bought some fobs from Fern Ridge, and I was going to some peyote fob beading, and I knew nothing about doing it, and I bought a book with instructions and whatever, and I watched a YouTube video, and I read the instructions in the pattern. The instructions in the pattern were kind of bad. Not really. I guess I watched it being done. I read the words. I did more of what I saw the word. Excuse me. So where were we? Oh, I was on my Fern Ridge spiel in my peyote. So I bought the two very simple ones. And look, it wants to spin around. Isn't that cute? Light is shining through it. That is so stinking cute. I can't stand it. It took me an afternoon to do this. It is so cute. I have a little charm square pack that's got a lot of light blues and greens, and I'm thinking about making like a little ditty bag or whatever with that, and then putting this on the zipper. So I haven't done the second one yet, but I fully anticipate I will do it, because now I know I can do it. I was even looking back through their thing to see, ooh, what's more complicated that I can do. So last video I was telling you about this little freebie that I got in the Fern Ridge Collections order when I ordered the fobs. I don't know if you hear the neighbors. They're loading up in the car and trying to round up their dogs who don't want to go. And somebody wiser, more worldly than me, knew that this was a book holder. Like, you know, to prop your book in. I tried it with a library book or a bigger book like that, and it didn't work. So, let me see. I have my book of days. I don't know if that'll work. Yeah, kind of. It wants to keep falling over because it's just not quite big enough to fill that crevice. But anyway, I learned. There it is. It's cool. Been reading. When we last spoke, I mentioned I was reading The Boys, which is about Ron and Clint Howard. It's very, very interesting. You know, I came from the generation we watched Andy Taylor. It's still on. I could still stop and watch a rerun. I don't like Clint, the little brother. He appeared on the Andy Griffith Show every now and again as like the neighbor. He never spoke any words as a little boy. So I remember him from there, but I didn't know he was Ron Howard's brother. And then he did some other things that I was unaware of. Like he was the boy in Gentle Ben. He was the boy in The Red Pony, My Red Pony. What's that movie? I don't know. It's too sad. I've never watched it. Anyway, and of course Ron Howard, we all know. Happy Days. I was a young teen when the Happy Days years were, you know, and he was on TV. So it's just really interesting as a child actor, how his father dealt with the industry and teaching the boys. Very, very, very different from how other child actors, or what other child actors experience. So it's been really fun to read, but it's not like, you know, reading it from beginning to end steadily. You know, I just sort of, you can put it aside and pick up something else. So when I went to the library and I found, for example, Ann Tyler's French Braid, which has been on my to be read list, I grabbed it and I read it. Ann Tyler, I think I mentioned her not long ago. I have, in the last 6 months, year, reread some of her older books. some of them because I'm, buying my books at the used books sale at the libraries. But I read An Amateur Marriage, which I'd read before. And then I most recently reread Dinner at the Homesick Restaurant. And Tyler has a knack for not happy books. And all of these, they're not so much that they're sad. There's a lot of character behavior where you don't understand the motivation. There's not been a lot of character development. So it's almost like you're just watching through the window as life goes on. And you may see things that go on, but you have no idea what's in somebody's brain. So when a father walks out on a marriage, for example, like in both Amateur Marriage, the walking out may have involved the wife getting mad and telling him to hit the road, but I think that was like something she did a lot, but this time he took her seriously. Dinner at the Homesick Restaurant, and it's just sort of what's left in the wake. And again, it's not very delving into the tragedy of it. They're just sort of these like real surface stories. French Braid, kind of the same, but I enjoyed it more than I did the other ones. That's her newest book. So that was a new book. It was on the new bookshelf at the library. So I read that. And then I was in a different library. I had to go for a meeting with my quilt guild. I'm on the program committee. So I have to sew like it's my job. Because when you're on that committee. So anyway, they had this John Grisham book, which I have been wanting to read, Sparring Partners. And so I grabbed that. Now, I don't like short stories. Short stories always leave me wanting more. I'd like to read about 250 pages of a story. I've just finished the first of what might be considered a short story. And it takes up like practically half the book, right? But this is going to have been the shortest or the longest one because there's 3 in this book. And this picks up a storyline that happened in one of his other books. I remembered some things about it. I couldn't tell you which book it came out of, but it involved the attorney in the town of Clancy, Mississippi. It's actually a whole series, Jake Brigance, and John Grisham has written several books that focus on Jake and his, a case that he might have and stuff. So that part was good. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 2, if they're going to pick up like a thread from another book or not. But I never miss a John Grisham book. Although I'll tell you, I missed one. It was one of his nonfictions. That's all. So I'm reading that. And what else am I doing? I don't have any audiobooks underway, I don't think. Nope. I feel like I did listen to one, but I can't think what it was. It didn't stick in my brain. It's not worth talking about, right? What else? I'm pretty sure there's else, but I brought everything I thought to the room. Oh, I'm going to show you this. So we talk about this quilt every time I show it, and it's time to take it down. So it's called Strawberry Fields or something. I bought the kit from Keepsake Quilting, and they still have the kit, only it's different fabric, and it's called like Strawberry Shortcake or something. So go there, look. So anyway, I made this quilt last winter. It laid out on the floor for a while, like just to look at and make sure, whatever. I mean, lots of hands-on work. And then I quilted it all myself and did all the things. And then it's been hanging here. I got my pointer. Hanging here. And about 2 weeks ago, I'm sitting here. So I'm going to move y'all a little tiny bit to show this, because it's a strawberry row you can't see. So this row right here is this top part right here is put on upside down. So instead of the strawberry taking this shape and cutting across here, that is flipped so that the little half square triangles angle the wrong way in here and here. So it could happen simply because this fabric for this strawberry, it has got a lot of white in it, and then the background fabric has a lot of white in it. It wouldn't have happened here because that would have reached out and slapped you in the face. Just this one. And I was looking back at pictures, not for this quilt in particular, and I saw the quilt laying on the floor where I'd taken its picture, and what reaches right out and hits me is that square. So, at that point, had I noticed it, I could have fixed it. At this point, there's no fixing it. So, darn it all, doesn't that the only thing I see every time I look at it? So, shoot. So, anyway, there you go. Just pointing it out. It happens to everybody. And there's no need to tell me, that the Amish, blah, 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 do it on purpose, yada, yada. I think to some degree that's a wives' tale. Because I live in the whole rural community of Mennonites and quilt stores and quilting, and that doesn't happen. So anyway, that. What else? Oh, we were starting to talk about the roof and all the skylights. The first-ish night, the skylights were newly in. We got a bat in the house. So that's not a happy day. Nobody, every time I mention a bat problem, issue, whatever, some kind viewer has to tell me, but they eat bugs. Okay, yeah, I know. I live where they need to eat the bugs, but not in my house. There's not bugs in my house, and they're dangerous in their house. And, the health department wants the dead bat so they can make sure you weren't exposed. So that was not happy. But my kitty earns every morsel of his food when he alerts us in our patience with his high-strung nature. So anyway, hopefully that's the end of that. Holy crap, that's no fun. So anyway, school starts here in New York State next week, Wednesday, whatever Wednesday is, the 7th, September 7th. So my girls are both Spanish teachers. And first they were both middle school Spanish teachers in different districts in the same county. Then my older daughter moved up into the high school. And then my older daughter took a job in the high school that she graduated from. And she worked there last year. And then there was an opening for another high school Spanish teacher. And my younger daughter, understanding the vast differences in school districts, said after hearing about her sister working there and what goes on and what's available and blah, blah, when that position became available, she decided to apply for it. And she interviewed and she did all the things she needed to do. My older daughter stayed out of it. She didn't want anybody to have to say or be able to say that younger daughter got the job just because older daughter. So they did excellent in high school. They were excellent students in high school. So the high school is delighted to have them back. It says, to me, it speaks well of a school district where so many of the teachers were students there. And it's not for lack of opportunity. We live in a very lovely area with lots of schools, lots of school districts, and lots more prospering areas. That teachers would want to come back. Students would want to come back as teachers and stay there their whole career. So anyway, so they're both there. The younger daughter's new classroom was my older daughter's classroom last year. So there's that factor. So the number of times I have said, I wish I could be a fly on the wall on the first day of school as I see the kids, see their schedule, and think, oh, I have Mrs. O again. Like, first of all, my older daughter, who's married, didn't change her name. And even, so anyway, so they have the same last name. And younger daughter, older daughter, married, unmarried, kids call everybody Mrs. So we'll go with that, Mrs. So, oh, I had Mrs. O last year, so go right into her classroom and it's not the right Mrs. O, or go across the hall into the other, or wherever, end up in the younger daughter's classroom and think, oh my gosh, I'm not in the right room. I know Mrs. O, she's over there across the hall. So I just funny. Anyway, so my younger daughter was in her classroom and there were some high school students being, I don't want to say trained, but they were being shown how to give tours to the ninth graders who would be having their open house soon. So somebody is taking them through and saying, tell them, here's your lockers, whatever, here's the Spanish room. So they go to my daughter's room and they say, are you the ninth grade Spanish teacher? And she said, yes, I will have all the ninth graders. Okay, good. So if you're here, the kids will be poking their heads in, seeing what the room looks like. And so as they walk away, my daughter hears one student say to the other, is that Mrs. O's daughter? So my girls are 5 years apart. So, so we also have long established, kids have no concept of adults' ages. But we are just dead on the floor. Of all the things we imagined the kids saying, we never dreamed that one. So that story just cracks me up. Are you her daughter? Is she the Mrs. O's daughter? So we're gonna get a lot of mileage out of that one. When the younger daughter was interviewing for the job and somebody, I don't know, saw her resume, they said, doesn't she already work here? Because they're thinking, the other daughter. And then there was, I don't know, their names were referred to, like the language department list is the two name people with the same last name. So O and O. She said, I'm not going to say my last name. She said, doesn't that sound like a law firm? I'm like, it sure does. So anyway, that kind of cracks us up. I hope this video is not too choppy with editing because I have had to edit some things out. Our neighbors are rounding up their dogs and they are very close to the fence, which is very close to my window. So anyway, I wanted to talk about WIPGO. I've never done WIPGO before. Earlier this year, I put in a request on the Facebook page and was not accepted. I knew there were questions to answer. I answered the questions, so I'm not really sure where it went wrong. I'm like, oh, I don't get to hang with the cool kids, I guess. So anyway, I went back and did it again, and so I am thinking about what to do. My sweet spot of whips is somewhere in the 12 neighborhood, with at least half of those being big whips. I don't want 24 or whatever you put on the WIPGO board, different whips, I don't think. So I'm toying with the things I might do. I don't want to hurry up and start like enough things so I can fill the whole board. I do believe I'm going to do the 8x8 again this year, which was a New Year's Eve thing that, well, Pam did it from Pam and Stuff, just keep stitching. Hers was 12x12. I don't stay up till 12. Even if I started at 9 in the morning, I don't know if I could get 12 done because 8 was a lot. And when I did it New Year's Eve, 8. I did one every hour for 8 hours. Starting at noon, and then I did the same ones every hour on New Year's Day, and then the holiday was the next day. So anyway, there were 3 solid days of stitching on the same 8, except that I finished some of them in that 3-day span. I would like to do that again because I tend to not want to start small things. I feel like I always feel like those are hours taken away from the big thing, the focus patterns, that kind of stuff. So I am planning in the next few months to assemble some smalls. And then I think when it comes to those being on WIPCO, I think that will be one category. So if they pick whatever I call my 8x8, there will be however many patterns left in there to work on for whatever duration I decide. Like if I'm doing 2 pieces a month, maybe I'll do 10 days on each and then leave myself about 10 days of, there are days, believe it or not, in a month when I don't get to stitch at all. Just to give myself a little flexibility and time to focus on one of those 2 that I don't want to put down or something else I want to focus on. I really fell into this pattern of very much enjoying a large focus piece for an entire month. So usually I have a major piece and a minor piece. So we'll see what happens. I'm also, not to plant seeds in people's heads as to how to do their WIPGO boards, but I'm thinking about if I don't have enough big things to like feel like I'm putting enough variety on the board, that I'm going to put some specific starts, not just start something new, but start a prairie schooler or start up, by a specific designer. If I'm done with the mermaids, then maybe it'll start another Mirabilia, because I have about half a dozen. But those will be things we can talk about when we're further along and I'm actually got my board maybe assembled. Maybe I'll show you what the potential starts could be. For the 8x8. Last year I just went into it kind of willy-nilly. I don't want to say totally. Hang on. been through this basket before, but this is sort of where I just sort of throw like some small things. And so what I had done last year, for example, this is in here and it's a full-on kit. It is so stinking cute. This is how I get myself in trouble. I see these things and then maybe I've stitched on my main piece enough for the day and I'm tired of it, and I'll just go over and I'll pick out of this basket, which is really what it's intended. So there are things in there that I'd like to do that are not kitted up at all. Oops. Didn't mean to show you that. This, oh, I don't know. Sometime we'll go through it together. I don't know. And sometimes I don't know why there's things in here, except that they're kits. And maybe they weren't worthy of, everything is worthy of one of my project bags. I don't know. Ooh, I'm curious as to what's in here. One of my Lori Holt project bags that I made this past year. Oh, in here is this, all of the pieces I have for this. Last year, an 8x8 was one of these, and I was stitched 2 of the houses. And it may only have had 2. Is that true? Is that possible? But, different than last year, is I intend to check what I have and complete the kitting of it. Oh, this one I have always liked. There's fabric in there. Oh, I can't show you. There's no picture. Suspense, the suspense, the suspense. Here's another fall one that's in there. Ready to go. Not sure how these all got in here because I pretty much emptied this basket last year. Probably I was just rummaging through, doing some stuff. This one I keep thinking I'll start and do like one a day. And by accident I have this twice, the PDF and the paper pattern. I don't know. So there's odds and ends in here. I plan to go through and fully be prepared for the 8x8 with everything having fabric, thread, and whatever. Because this year, or yeah, when I did it this past New Year's, I just sort of picked out of this basket and then discovered I didn't have all the stuff, everything needed. So then I had to go pick something different. So that'll be fun. That'll be something I'll do. I don't know. Maybe if there's a sale at one of the shops, or if I need some odds and ends and don't have enough to really make a order worthwhile, I'll pull one of those out and make sure I've got everything for it. So that'll be fun. WIPGO. We'll see how it works for me. When I pick what I'm going to work on, it is literally just, there's no rhyme or reason what I pick on to be my focus, just maybe what I'm craving, I think, is what it comes down to. Pumpkins I'm doing because it's fall and I know I can finish it. So, we'll see. So, I hope everybody's that celebrates fall this time of year is enjoying the beginning of fall. What else? What else? What else? Nothing, I don't think. We're just sort of plodding along, doing the usual stuff. Like I said, mentioned, I'm on the program committee for my quilt guild. Our calendar follows the school year. So our first meeting of the year will be next week, or no, not Labor Day. No, the week after Labor Day, because we meet on a Monday. So I have lots and lots and lots of things to do for that, because we sort of lose momentum during the whole COVID mess and not meeting and that kind of stuff, or having such a reduced attendance. So we're really hoping to, rev everybody up with lots of options and projects and things to get excited about. So that, which involves me making a variety of samples and whatnot and all the things. So that's it, I think. I'm just looking around at my piles to make sure I didn't miss anything. Hope everybody's going to enjoy a nice holiday weekend. If you're here in the United States, celebrate Labor Day. I think that's it. I'll have a house full of people. I've got all my recipes out and some shopping to plan and organize and cooking to think about and all that kind of stuff. Probably the last big time until Thanksgiving, right? That's how it goes. So have a good one, everybody, and I'll see you soon. Bye.